Hello everyone, it is the end of February, and I'm going to go over all of the books that I read this month. This month got a lot more knocked out than I did last month. Of course, last month I had a few DNFs that I didn't bother reporting because why bother? This month, no DNFs. So that's positive. Excuse me. Great way to start the video. Anyway, so we're just going to jump right into it. The first, and some of these were audio, but I went ahead and got physical versions anyway, because I like the book enough that I want to own it physically. But anyway, the first one that I read was Jingo by Sir Terry Pratchett, continuing my journey through the Night's Watch, or the City Watch, I guess it's technically called, because Night Watch is a book. The City Watch sub-series of Discworld. This one was alright. I definitely prefer either, I definitely think I prefer Guards more than this one, although, there were quite some interesting things going on with Corporal Knobs in this one, and some of the little footnotes were quite hilarious when it comes to what was going on with good old Nobby. Next, this one was one of my most anticipated books of 2026, and that is the next book of the Dresden Files, 12 Months, by Jim Butcher. After the epic conclusion, and I'm not going to spoil this book, but after the epicness that was Battleground, this one was definitely more of a lull. We're not doing some too crazy things. Some stuff definitely does happen, but it's a lot more focused on Dresden and what's going on with him and what's going on with Chicago in the aftermath of Battleground. And honestly, probably one of the most hyped things about this book, Dresden actually gets some fucking sleep. The man is constantly like sitting at like 72 hours without sleep, half dead, and that's the start of the book. Never mind what happens to him during. But yeah, there was some other hype stuff in here. I'm joking, partly. But I was very excited to have this book come out, and I'm interested to see where it's going. It does signpost some places that I think the series is going to continue to go, and no real big mysteries revealed in this, but there are a couple of hanging threads from Battleground and peace talks that have been addressed. And yeah, if you like Dresden Files, you've already read this book. Anyway, the first audiobook that I got around to this month was the beginning of the Horus Heresy, Horus Rising, by Dan Abnett. It's Warhammer. I figured if I'm gonna start like a big part of the books, I figured might as well do the Horus Heresy. And yeah, so far did not disappoint. I will have comments to make about the Horus Heresy as we go on, but we'll get there. But yeah, it's a book with Space Marines and the Primarch Horus, who, again, my only exposure is this book. Again, I'm not that big into Warhammer. I listen to a good bit of lore videos on YouTube. I'm starting to read some of the books. I'm not going to get hardcore into it. This is the extent that you're going to see me do. Just reading. Then next we had another book that I was excited for this year, and that is The Bourne Revenge by Brian Freeman, continuation of his Jason Bourne reboot series. So, after the ending of the last book, Bourne, I believe it's Escape. Should have fact-checked myself. Hold on. Research break. Yeah, the Bourne Escape. After the end of that one, I was feeling a little iffy on whether or not I was going to continue the series. I figured I'd let this one be my decider. And, darn it all, I still haven't decided. Because I really thought that he was going to go somewhere, really interesting. And he didn't pull the trigger on it. And it largely has to do with Bourne and his relation to Shadow, who I mentioned in my review of the Bourne Shadow, who I'm not really feeling the direction he's taking these characters and like their relationship. I don't know. I'm assuming there's going to be another one this year, because he seems to be pumping out 2 a year now. So, maybe I'll let that one be the decider. And, I don't know, we'll see. If nothing else, I can just back it all the way up to Bourne Defiance. Call that a nice quadrilogy. Yeah, I think that's 4. Quadrilogy, yeah. Then, the next audiobook that I got to this month was the second of the Horus Heresy, False Gods. If Horus Rising was kind of a slow start, things definitely start picking up in this one. And for the Horus Heresy, counting the Siege of Terra, is like 60-something books. I didn't expect Horus to fall to corruption in book 2. I didn't expect him to fall to chaos in book 2. So it's like, okay. So if he's already fallen, where are we going from here? What's the rest of this? Because I only know, like, small, like, a handful of main events, and that's the Fall of Horus, Bernega Prospero, the Dropsite Massacre, and the Siege of Terra, where Horus wounds the Emperor and Horus is killed. Horus has fallen already. And Dropsite Massacre is very soon from where I am. I don't know where Prospero is, but, like, the Siege of Terra is the ending. So, like, there's, like, 50 to 60 something books that I don't know what's going on. Anyway, I did like the book. It definitely, like, starts to ramp stuff up in terms of, like, getting to the actual heresy. So, then I took a break from actual books and decided to pick back up with Solo Leveling. This is the 6th volume of the series. I heard about this series thanks to the author Will White after reading his Cradle books and listening to some of his streams. Korean web novel, and I've been really enjoying it. I kind of blitzed through a good bit of them last year, and I'm hoping to finish the series this year. I should have all the books, I just haven't decided to binge them, because I'm not really, like, a binge, like, I don't really binge a whole series in one go. I like to spread it out, especially if they're unfinished, but I guess with Solo Leveling, I could just binge the whole thing. Excuse me. Especially since the final volume before the sequel series starts getting published in that format comes out in March. So, yeah, I could just theoretically binge the rest of them. I don't know. Anyway, The next audiobook, again, Horus Heresy. Galaxy in Flames, which the heresy begins. There's big battles between, Space Marine chapters, Horus's traitors, the loyalists that he's trying to purge from the ranks of the Sons of Horus, what's Mortarion's Legion? I don't know all these names. The Emperor's Children and the World Eaters. So, definitely more action-packed than the last two. Well, the last two definitely had action, but like a good chunk of this is just like one big fight that's going on. So, I'm definitely going to be continuing the Horus Heresy, mainly in audiobook format. And if I keep enjoying it, then I'll keep going. Back to comics, I finished up the Blade miniseries that I was reading with Sins of the Father by Mark Guggenheim. It's more Blade goodness. You see here Blade with like a freaking gun for a hand, and yes, you do get to see Spider-Man in the black suit. Given that Civil War has happened, I'm not sure why he has the black suit. But you know what? I'm not the big comic guy. I didn't question it. So, but yeah, I enjoyed this book. Did not see the ending coming. And I was just sitting there like, oh, dude. Why'd you have to do that? Not so much Blade, but more just something that happens. It was something. Continuing on in the vein of comics, or at least web novels in this case, we had Solo Leveling Volume 7. Again, I continue to enjoy this series as it goes on. There's events in this one, a couple of characters show up that I'm just like, I wonder what their whole deal is about. And of course, Jin's, doing his thing, and people are just kind of... Some people are definitely reacting to him more or less presenting himself to the public, not in so much as, fully revealing what he can do, but there's a good number of people that know what he can do now. So, it's going to be interesting to see where this goes, especially with the cliffhanger ending at the end of this one. And we had our last comic, and this one is an actual comic issue, not a trade paperback, for the last comic for the month, and that is Wolverine vs. Blade. Yes, I put it back in its, cover thing that it came in the mail. Wolverine vs. Blade. It's just as awesome as you're imagining. You got Vampire Wolverine here, and then, of course, the Daywalker. It was fun. It was really enjoyable. I wish there were more either team-ups or fights like this in comics more often. And then the final physical book for this month. Really, these were two short stories put together into one thing, and they kind of did it in an interesting way. So, apparently these stories began as something called Story Deck at Dragonsteel Nexus last year. They took two of the stories and put them into a book to be sold, and that is King Lopen, the First of Alethkar by Brandon Sanderson and Isaac Stewart being his art director, and which follows the story of Lopen as King of Alethkar, which everyone thought was a joke for the longest time. It's during Words of Radiance, when he's protecting King Elhokar. And then Elsecaller by Brandon Sanderson and Dan Wells, and it follows a certain character, an Elsecaller. I won't give spoilers here, but it follows a certain Elsecaller Radiant while they are stuck in Shadesmar during Words of Radiance. So, both stories that I was interested in, this more so than Lopen, but Lopen's always fun. I like Lopen. And I just needed a little hit of Stormlight goodness, since we're waiting until, 2031 before we get back to book 6. Or sooner, whenever he decides to put out Horneater. And then lastly, I don't have this one physical. This is the last audiobook that I listened to for 2026. Or 2026? Yeah, hi, this is actually filmed in December, and I'm putting it out in March. Or today. I don't know which. Anyway. The last audiobook of February was, I read Empire the Vampire by Jay Kristoff. I know a bunch of booktubers have talked about this book at length. It's a sort of post-apocalyptic vampire novel told in the first person by Gabriel de Leon, and it chronicles his story in this world that the sun has been covered in what's known as a day's death, and vampires are now free to roam the world as they please. So, Empire the Vampire. I didn't really know anything going into it, other than just, I love vampire shit, and a lot of people talked about this. The book itself is great. I really liked it. It had all the vampire goodness that I could want. It has daywalkers, like with, well, I don't know if the Pale Bloods could get burned in some... No, I don't think they can, because Gabriel didn't know what he was for the longest time, even before Day's death. Anyway, it's got daywalkers, which, I love Blade. It's got all, like, a bunch of gore, vampire feedings, just everything I love about vampires. It's so cool. It follows some of the more traditional rules, like having to be invited in, them being subjected to holy things. Some of the plot developments I could see coming. One, I think it was supposed to be kind of a big reveal. I did kind of see coming. Not really so much because it was telegraphed, but I was just sitting there like, huh. I wonder if he's going to do this. And then sure enough, he did. No spoilers. And then, the ending. I was sitting there like, are we going to pull... Is he going to pull insert this title here? Because again, no spoilers. Like, is he pulling the ending from this thing? Like, are we going to have a similar ending here? And yeah, sure enough, we did. So there was some stuff that I did see coming. There was definitely some things I didn't see coming, particularly with one character and their identity. The thing that really bummed me and made it to where I am not entirely certain if I will pick this one up as a goal or if I'll even continue the trilogy. There was a thing that happened that hits a little too close to home for my taste, which did kind of bum me out and kind of depressed me a bit while I was reading it. And usually when I hit stuff like that, I just DNF. But I had like 2 hours left in the book, or like an hour and a half, somewhere in there. And I'm just like, you know what, I'm gonna finish it. Why not? So, I don't know. I haven't decided if I'm gonna keep going or not. I might find an online group and ask some questions about the sequels. But anyway, yeah, that's pretty much all I've got for this month. A whopping total of, okay, so there were 7 in January. This list is now up to 19, so whopping total of 12 books. Definitely better than last month. March, I don't think we're gonna hit anything that big, for reasons that you'll see if you watch my March TBR video, which I have yet to record, so it's not out yet. I don't know what order these are gonna be out. Anyway, That's all for this video. Y'all have a good one. God bless.